So picture this. You have kept meticulous financial records since the day you opened your doors. Every month, you fill in the spreadsheets. You track your revenue, you log your expenses, you document what came in and what went out. The data's there. You have done the work. And yet, you still feel like you don't fully see your business. You know what happened last month, but you're not really sure what that means. You can read the numbers, but the story that they're telling you isn't clear. The pattern is there somewhere. The trend is hiding in that sea of cells, but you're running a spa, leading a team, seeing clients. You don't have the bandwidth to sit down with 14 spreadsheets and piece the picture together yourself. That's not a data problem. It is a presentation problem, and AI just solved for it. Today, I'm going to show you what becomes possible when you take the financial data that you already have and let AI transform it into a visual dashboard that you can actually read, understand, and lead from. I'm going to share what happened when I did this with my own business and what happened when one of our clients did too. So stay with me. This one is going to shift how you see what's already in your hands. Welcome back to Spa Marketing Made Easy. I'm your host, Daniela Warner, founder and CEO of Addo Aesthetics and the creator of the Growth Factor Framework. This is the podcast where we talk to aesthetic professionals to show you real practical business strategies so that you can build the business that you actually want, not one that's just keeping you busy. So if you're new here, welcome. I have been in the aesthetic industry for 2 decades now, and for the past 12 years, I've been completely focused on one thing: helping spa CEOs build businesses that are profitable, predictable, and sustainable. Not just booked solid, actually profitable. And there is a difference. We talk about that difference a lot on this show. Now, today's episode is part of our June focus on operational excellence. And I want to start with something that might surprise you. Now, if you have been a part of our Growth Factor community for any length of time, you know that we take financial tracking very seriously. We've provided our members with spreadsheets over the years that track a whole number of KPIs and metrics that are relevant to your business, to running a profitable spa business. And our members use them. Many of them have years of clean, consistent data sitting in Google Sheets or in Excel right now. That's something to be so proud of because most spa owners don't. You do. Now, I want to be very clear about what I'm not saying today. I'm not saying that you've been ignoring your numbers. I'm not saying that the data isn't there. For many of you, the data is excellent. What I'm saying is that there's a significant gap between having your financial data and having financial clarity. And that gap is costing you the ability to read your business and lead your team from a clear, confident, bird's eye view instead of trying to piece this story together month by month. When you're in the treatment room 4 days a week, when you're managing a team, when you're responding to clients, when you're leading your marketing, and just handling everything that lands on the desk of a spa CEO, you don't have time to cross-reference spreadsheets, to manually identify trends. The data is there. The bandwidth is to analyze it is not. That's the problem that AI just solved. So let me show you what this looked like for me personally, because I think the context matters. So this year for us here at Addo Aesthetics has been a remarkable year. We are on track to have our highest revenue, highest profit year in the entire history of our company. I'm so incredibly grateful for that. But even when the growth is happening, if you can't see it clearly, it's hard to lead from it with confidence. So I had all the data month by month, the numbers were there. But I wanted to understand in a deeper way our growth trajectory and in a way that was beyond just knowing like, okay, well, here's what we did this month and here's what we did last month. And I knew that things were going up, but I wanted to understand in a deeper way. I wanted to know what we were actually on track to hit by the end of the year. I wanted to know if there were any blind spots that I might be missing. You don't know what you don't know, right? So I use Claude. We're lovers of Claude over here. And I use Claude to build a financial dashboard from our existing data. And my mind was literally blown. So instead of rows and columns, and I was like looking at this interactive visual graph that showed our revenue trend over time. I could see the months that were accelerated. I could see the dips. I had levers that I could pull if we did this or did that. It was insane. It was so insane. And it helped me understand in such a clear way the impact of each individual KPI. Now, the projection feature was amazing for me. So showing our data based on our growth rate, Claude was able to help me see what we were on track to hit if we maintain our current trajectory. And that kind of forward-looking visibility changes how you plan. It changes what you prioritize. It changes the decisions that you make in May and June because you can see where October is heading. Blind spots, right? There were a couple of areas where the visual really made me clear about what the spreadsheet had kind of obscured. Not problems necessary, but things that deserved more attention than I had been giving them. So the kinds of things that you catch when you're looking at a graph and something just slightly looks off pattern, you notice it in a visual where you might scroll right past it in a table. And you guys, that dashboard took 15 minutes to build. The clarity it gave me is something that I am working with today, every single day. And what was so cool is that I then had the opportunity to walk through the same process with one of our clients who she's a spa owner. She's been tracking her finances using our growth factor spreadsheets for years. She's diligent. She's detailed. Her records are clean. This is not someone who's avoiding her numbers. She has been honoring them. She's been really stepping into that role of CEO. But when we sat down together and did that and built the visual dashboard, I could see something shift in her and I could see her understanding her business in a deeper way. And it was like she just started asking the right questions, good questions, CEO questions. And she was understanding her business exactly as I had. She was going through the same experience that I had when I first did my dashboard. And it gave her the confidence. I think it gave her the confidence to, it's like all of a sudden you're speaking the same language, you and your business. That's what I want for you. Not more data, not more tracking, but a presentation of your existing data that makes that story visible, that makes the patterns clear, that makes you a more confident leader of your own business. I was thrilled to see that shift in her. She went from looking at her data as something that she managed into something that she could actually use to lead. And that is a different relationship with your own business. And it happened in about 15 minutes. Now, let me talk about what a financial dashboard actually does, because I think there's a version of this conversation that makes it sound more complicated than it is. A dashboard simply takes your existing financial data and it presents it in a much more visually appealing way. So instead of reading a number in a cell, you're looking at a graph that shows movement over time. Instead of calculating your percentage by hand, you're seeing a bar chart that makes that comparison. For a spa CEO, the power of that is very significant, especially if you're a visual person. So when your revenue is displayed as a line on a graph across 12 months, you stop seeing individual months and you start seeing your business as a continuous story. You see the months you grew, you see the months you held steady, you see the impact of a team change, a service addition, a pricing adjustment. You see it visually, which means that you understand it completely in a way that rows and cells and columns simply don't allow. Trend identification becomes almost effortless. If you see your retail to service revenue has been declining over 6 months, the graph shows you that before it becomes a crisis. If one service line is growing faster than the other, the visual makes that opportunity obvious. These patterns exist in your spreadsheets today. You just can't see them. Now, the other piece that I want to name is projections. So when your historical data is organized and visualized, you can start to see forward, not just backward. So what's your current growth rate? Where does that put you by the end of the year if nothing changes? Where does it put you if you make one or two specific adjustments? These are questions that your data, when properly organized, can answer. Now, without the dashboard, answering them requires a significant amount of manual work. With it, you're looking at the big picture. Now, I'm not going to walk you through every single step of building this yourself today. What I want you to walk away from this conversation is that it's possible. It's not as complex as it sounds. And the data that you need to make it work is almost certainly something that you already have. The data is there. The story is there. AI just makes it visual. Now, important, note when you are working with AI tools and financial data. So when you are working with Claude or ChatGPT or any AI platform to build something like this, you are working with your business information. That's fine. That's the purpose. But you want to be very careful. Do not include your bank account numbers into an AI tool. Do not enter routing numbers, credit card numbers, login credentials, any type of sensitive identifying financial information. That type of data has no place in this process and does not need to be a part of it. So if you are uploading statements or anything like that, make sure that you're removing the financial information that you don't want the AI tool to have. Okay. So we are working with revenue figures, expense categories, payroll percentages, cost of goods, your different KPIs. That's financial performance data, not financial identity data. There's a difference, and staying on the right side of that line is going to keep you protected. So treat AI the same way that you would treat any business tool. Share what it needs to do the job and protect what it doesn't. Okay? That's really important to protect your data. Now, I want to zoom out for a second, and I want to talk about why this kind of financial clarity actually is so important, what it unlocks for you as a leader, because it's more than just a prettier spreadsheet. In fact, it's not even a spreadsheet. But when you can see your business visually, you stop reacting and start anticipating. You see a pattern emerging in April that tells you something about June. And then you make that decision in April. That's not something that happened when you're reading through individual monthly reports. That's something that happens when you're looking at the arc, when you're looking at longer term trends. You start having different conversations with your team. So instead of saying, we need to do better this month, you can say, here's what our data is showing us. Here's the pattern that I see. And here's why we're going to focus on this particular result. That is a CEO leading with clarity. That is a completely different kind of authority. So you start trusting your own judgment more than you did before. And one of the things that I see consistently with spa owners is that the uncertainty around the financial data creates this kind of paralysis around decisions. But now decisions get easier. Not always easy, but easier because you're working with the visibility instead of working around uncertainty. And when you start planning further ahead, when you know where you're projected to finish the year, you can plan for it. You can decide now whether you want to accept that trajectory or change it. You can see the window before it closes instead of realizing after the fact that it already did. This is what financial dashboards do. They do not add new information. They make the information that you already have worth something in real time. Okay? Now, you've been building your business for years. You are not a beginner. You are not someone who doesn't care about her numbers. You are someone who has been doing the work, tracking the data, and still feeling like there's something between the data and the clarity that is missing. That gap is not a personal failing. It's not a sign that you're bad with numbers or not cut out to be a CEO. It's simply the natural result of having more data than any one person has the time to manually analyze when they're also running a business. Okay. It's a systems problem, right? And when we have systems problems, they have solutions. And we are so blessed to live in the time where we have AI as a tool, that AI can offer you a solution to this problem. It's not a shortcut. It's a presentation layer. Because your work is already done. Your data is already there. What's been missing is the tool that makes it legible at the speed that your schedule actually allows for. Now, the most powerful thing about the financial dashboard conversation, again, is not the technology, but it's what the technology reveals that you already have what you need. You have the data, you have the history, you have the evidence of your own business right there in those spreadsheets. AI simply gives you a way to see it. Now, if you are part of our Growth Factor community and you've been keeping up with your financial tracking, you are so much closer to this kind of clarity than you might think. The foundation is already there. And if you're curious about what it would look like to build not just a financial dashboard, but the full operational infrastructure that lets you lead your business instead of operate inside of it, this is exactly what we do inside of our Growth Factor implementation program. We build the systems, the financial frameworks, and the AI tools together with one-on-one coaching every step of the way. If that sounds like where you are headed, then you can find out more at the link below this video by booking a call with our growth team. For now, just sit with this. The data that you've been collecting is more valuable than you know. You just need the right tool to make it visible, and that tool exists. And it exists in 15 minutes. Now, you deserve that same clarity. I hope that today's episode got you a little bit closer to it. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with a spa owner in your network who you know is working hard and ready to work smarter. All right, friends, I will see you next week.